Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, put your feet up. It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast with Declan McCormack, Wayne Mullins, and Dan.
Three lads, one podcast.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, we discuss Mr. Kerman's debut on TOTAP, as well as Decky's love for Canadian football. We keep the positive vibes going as there's a short Commie Watch, but how positive can you really be when you get beaten by the B team? We discuss everything to do with Friday night's fixture versus the Galwegians, from on the field to off, including a potential marriage proposal. All of this and more on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast. We got our absolute comeuppance, lads. I'd say it's fairly safe to say that's just the fucking of course already. That's the longest intro of all time. Like, we got our absolute comeuppance. We got our ass handed it to us by Queenstown. Sometimes you just have to take it. But anyway, welcome to Season 5, Episode 3, Episode 251 of your multi-international award-winning podcast. Throw us a 5-star rating, whatever podcast platform you're listening in on. And why not join us on Patreon, patreon.com/TOTAP. Look, lads, you get nothing extra for that, but it does help keep the show on the road and helps with solicitors' fees when some of our members are caught filming from the bushes. Dan Casey here, and I'm joined by my other three amigos, it's two today, Wayne Mullins and Declan McCormack, our Mr. Careman, Declan Carey. He is currently attending WrestleMania, as the head of the table showed, in Nashville with Paul Deasy of the B Team fame. Are the B Team no longer?
Whoa, back up. He's not attending WrestleMania.
That's an in-joke.
I thought he was attending WrestleMania. No. What is he at Nashville, so?
He's gone to Nashville to watch the Super Bowl, which is on in New Orleans.
Right. So if I want to go to the All-Ireland final, I'll just go to Kildare.
Something like that. It's pretty much what's happening, yeah.
Well, look, the B team no longer. We'll get into that one later. Wayne Mullins, what a debut though for our own Declan Carey now.
Fantastic, great feedback, and we know Declan. He's a good guy, and I found him very interesting last week, and he'll be back soon once he's back out on his double date in Nashville, Tennessee. You know,
Decky, what did you make of the debut? Being the HR manager, of course, you happy with your employee?
I was happy, yeah, very happy. Seemed to be a particular range of interest from clubs up the country as to how the former chairman would address them and speak about them and what. So I think we might have picked up a few extra viewers, or listeners I should say, around the league who are interested in how Mr. Carey will address things that may have happened in the past with other clubs, etc., etc. So we'll just have to wait and see what transpires.
And before we begin, we'd just like to remember Liam Miller on the 7th anniversary of his passing, as well as, of course, Noel Feeney, whose 8th anniversary of her passing was on the 7th of February. Thoughts with family and friends affected. It's time to get into a bit of Commie Watch.
Commie Watch with Ivan Draco on the Other Three Amigos podcast.
Wayne, did you think they were very commie this week? There wasn't much in the way of commie.
But there was World War III on the forum for the last month, so they don't really need to be doing much because the Doomers and Granders were at it again this week, and we really need a game.
For those not on the forum, can you explain this whole Doomers and Granders thing?
Well, it's simple, really. The Doomers are correct and the Granders are wrong. That's how it is, really. Like, and if anyone wants to come onto this podcast tonight and tell me different, well then, you know, look, it's just City fans, just being City fans. Usual kind of tearing each other apart, like Cork City fans do for the last 2 decades. But look, it's all like there's nothing personal. It's all just people just having their opinions, and you know, I just think certain ways and other people think other ways, and that's how it is. And it's good fun as well, do you know? As long as doesn't cross over the line, it's good fun, I think, anyway.
Okay, €79 to €90 jump for the women's season ticket pricing, but that has the increase in 2 games with Waterford and Gary Hunt joining the fold. Decky, that's still fairly good pricing, though, to be fair to them.
Yeah, like it's okay. It's pretty much what you would have expected with last year. Last year was 79. I think because of the odd games last year, we had an extra away game. So this year there's 2 extra home games. It's gone from 79 to 90. I don't think there's anybody massively giving out. Obviously, lots of clubs, Galway, Bohemians, Shamrock Rovers, other clubs around the country include their women's season ticket with a men's season. You just buy a club season ticket, which entitles you to go to any game you want to. Cork City don't do it that way, as is their choice. They have moved. The last year it was under 16s were free. They have changed that this year, and they've gone to under 13s are free. But you then go from 13 to 18 is €45 for a season ticket, and OAPs are also €45 for their season ticket. So look, I don't think there will be any massive complaints, really, to be honest. You don't sell a huge amount of them anyway. I do think there's merit. And if I was running the club, I would certainly include women's games in the season ticket, make it a club season ticket, and hope that people who have a ticket would just show up on a Saturday to support the women's side as well.
It's a lovely day out, like, if you're just chilling. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere than a men's game, anyway, I will say.
Especially with kids, if you bring the kids along, it's a nice atmosphere and a completely different experience than it has when going to the men's game. So I think if you're bringing like a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old to a game, it's a good intro to football. So that's the way it should be angled, I think.
Absolutely. Before we rip the whole off it and start talking about ticket prices for 30 minutes once more, we'll move on. The Hit the Bar Crossbar Challenge is back in the cross. Colm O'Sullivan will be doing his thing as always. Have either of the two of you ever gotten the opportunity to step on the hollow turf of Turner's Cross? Wayne Mullins, you're nodding your head there.
I did it about 3 years ago. One of the lads from America was over, and we were a bit steaming in the stand, and we went over and said, "Oh, we want to do the Crossbar Challenge," and sure, got nowhere near it. But yeah, we were fairly steaming at that time, but good fun, and it's quite intimidating in front of the shed. It has to be said. It's not for the faint-hearted. Like, if you're anyway not able to cross your legs, I wouldn't go near it. But it's good fun.
Decky, what about yourself?
No, I never got the opportunity, Dan. And at this stage, I'm not sure I'd want it, to be honest with you, because I'm not sure I'd hit the penalty spot that I made the crossbar from the edge of the bar, to be honest with you. But then on the other side of it, if I did somehow manage to do it, I would just go full mental belly flop in the goal mouth,
Do the Adebayor down to the away fans.
Yeah, looking for the shed to chant my name and the rest of it. So I'm probably better off not being.
The thing is, with the crossbar challenge, you're better off hitting it over than hitting the back of the net. Because if you hit it in the back of the net, it means you just can't even reach the crossbar. So you're better off smashing it as high as you can and hope it doesn't go Sputnik kind of style,
toe poke it,
We'll have yet to see what prizes will be on offer, but stay tuned for that. Do you think there's a fair chance one of us will be invited onto the pitch at some stage now this season?
I wouldn't hold my breath, but obviously it looks like it would be run through Red FM. So if one of us entered and randomly won it through Red FM, I'm not sure there's a whole lot that could be done.
Do you think
randomly won it, Colm? Wink, wink, nod, nod.
What if we got 300 people to put it through, and we just kind of swindle it that way, and just we do it on behalf.
How about, lads? Hang on. How about we give everybody who's doing it, we give them a TOTAP T-shirt or something to wear going out to do it.
Do like a Mario Balotelli, have a TOTAP shirt under their City one, and then they had a.
Why always them?
Why always?
Yes.
Oh, that is brilliant. Meet the players, Truce, Shawnee and Rio were in the club shop yesterday, Saturday. Always good opportunity for kids and maybe some adults to meet their city heroes. Wayne, did you take your young fella, or consider at least taking your young fella down to one of these?
I heard it was on, but I actually didn't pay any attention to when or where it was on. I do need to go to their club shop though and buy some merch. I haven't done it yet, so I have to do that soon.
I think there's a few cries for Galway, all right. But Decky, have you ever gone to one of these events or know anyone who has? They seem a good opportunity for the young ones to meet the players.
Of course, it's brilliant for the kids. Like it's designed for the kids. It's not a place for me. Like that sounds so wrong again. Jesus Christ! Like, yeah. Look, it's for the kids. It's Boeing is too far from Douglas anyway to be trying to make those treks for meeting things. But I'm sure everybody who was there enjoyed it and saw some pictures and it looked pretty full. So yeah, hopefully everybody had a good time.
Just on the tickets, sorry enough for bringing this back up again, but there is these vouchers going around the place for 10% off. I haven't got my hands on one yet, but people have them. Don't know where you get them, but if you get your hands on them, you get 10% off. Online too, I believe. I've been told there is a QR code, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
All right.
They spoke about that, having like some sort of like street fleet kind of red patrollery type thing going around the place, didn't they?
First game of the season is a bit strange though, isn't it? Like that's a game where you'd hope it's games against like Drogheda and Sligo is when you want this after 5 or 6 games kind of time. I don't know. I'm just thinking that it just seems strange. You're throwing out first game.
Drum up of interest. Go out to UCC. Try to get letting people know about it anyway. And I suppose that's what it does too. You know, you're letting people know.
Absolutely.
Who might not necessarily be City fans to begin with.
Yeah, I think it feels harsh to criticise the club for trying to promote any game, it's not something I'm willing to do. There's enough, online is I don't know what the wording is, like just every time they post online, they put up something today and I can see Facebook and I don't open Facebook. I haven't opened Facebook in years. Like somebody said to me, you need to look at the reaction on Facebook and like people are just not happy with the pricing and it's not going to go away and people's opinion isn't going to change. And Dermot said at some stage on the club pod, I think it was before Christmas maybe, that the budget was based around 4K average attendance this year. And I remember kind of going, oh, not so sure about that. And then they've come with this pricing structure and now I'm really going, this is not going to work. You're not going to average 4,000 a week, I think, at the prices you're charging unless you're top of the division or mounting a title challenge. That's the only way I see it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope for budgeting and club accounts and people's pockets and everything else that I'm wrong, but it's really, really hard to see it because the backlash is real. And I know some people said I was off my game last week saying, one tweet equals 100 people. And maybe I overestimated and whatnot, but you can clearly see there's a backlash there, and it's going to be interesting to see. Galway game, it's opening night. People are going to walk up. They won't be aware of what's going on. They won't be aware of the pricing. They'll bitch and moan, but because they're there, they'll probably pay it. It's the third or fourth home game of the season. You're going to get a clear idea, I think, of how it's working out, really.
Would you see any issues arising, I guess, with the 10% voucher? Like, people might need change. A ticket hut. There might be a few issues.
Yeah, but there's no ticket huts anyway, so...
Do tell. Go on.
We're recording on Sunday night, so somebody said there's a statement being put out tomorrow, so normally we would record on a Monday night and we would have seen the statement. This week we don't know, but we can pretty much guess what's in it. It's going to say that there's no ticket hut being used. There's 2 designated turnstiles whereby you can buy tickets, but you can't enter through those turnstiles, and then you back out and you go back in the normal turnstiles. We heard about this, I don't know, was it last Wednesday or Thursday evening? Somebody said it to us that, people had been informed and whatnot. And I went to Cove on Friday night and I asked somebody at the club what the story was. And the reason we ask questions is because sometimes you do get honest answers. And seemingly the huts aren't usable for health and safety reasons. And that makes sense. And this is a system that they've used for the Irish under-21 games that have been held at the Cross. So they're familiar with it, security are somewhat familiar with it. So it seems like the best thing to do going forward. I did ask the question, why didn't we just get new huts or replace the ones that could no longer be used? Nobody seemed to know the answer to that. But look, it is what it is. I guess we would probably recommend to people to buy online if you can at all, just to avoid any unnecessary queuing. We don't know what way it's going to go. People at the club have said there's a very, very large percentage of tickets are bought online and that the number of walk-ups isn't that big. But I did point out that that was different the last 2 years when it was cheaper to buy a ticket online. Now it's the same price online as it is to walk up. So you would imagine the number of people buying their tickets online would probably drop off a little bit because there's no advantage. Like the advantage now would be maybe just to avoid the queues, having to queue to get and pay cash the way it's going to work. So that's why I'm saying to people, look, stick to buying tickets online. I think it'll be the fastest and the easiest way to get through it. But I do have a small fear that the number of walk-ups will be much bigger than they were the last 2 years. Especially, like we averaged 2,800. That was our average home attendance last season. We've budgeted for 4,000 this year. So there's just bigger attendances. You're going to have more walk-ups. Everything points that way. So look, let's just hope it goes off well, that there's no issues. I would still be willing to have some form of a bet that's 7:35, 7:35. You get the ding dong and the PA system that says kickoff has been delayed for 10 or 15 minutes due to crowd congestion outside. Hopefully that's not the case, but we'll have to see what happens.
When are you envisaging confusion outside the cross and large queues?
Yes and no. People who are social media people online will know. People who aren't won't know. A lot of people won't know the prices still. So look, we'll just see what happens. It'd be interesting to see how it works. Did you say they got to win one turnstile, come out and go back in again? Or did I hear you wrong?
Well, what was said was that there's two turnstiles. The last two turnstiles that are never open because the entrance and the into the ground is too steep. You know, when you step off there, it's too steep a step, so they don't use it. That those two turnstiles will be selling tickets that but like if you can't go in the gate, then you have to come back out to go around and walk up to use another turnstile to get in.
Cue the Benny Hill team music on Friday night. But anyway, normally we'd well, it is the game review time, but normally we'd save the B team for the second half of the show. But today, it's going to make the first. It is time for the B team.
I don't think we can play the B team, no, Dan. I don't think. I ain't like.
Oh, you're not even going to hit it?
No, there's no merit. Like, I mean, like I can hit it, like. But,
in 2025, a little team in Queenstown needed some players to try and keep up with their bigger local rival.
The problem is, if we play it, the little team in Queenstown beat us and deservedly beat us on Friday night. So, like, what does that make us like? We're kind of parodying ourselves if we play it this week, aren't we?
I don't think anyone cares. Leave it off. It's more funny. It's more ironic.
Don't you think?
Dan's going for irony. Oh, very good, Wayne. Very good. Dan didn't get the reference.
What did he say?
He said, don't you think?
It's way before your time, Dan.
Yeah, way before your time. We'll explain it in a second.
In 2025, a little team in Queenstown needed some players to try and keep up with their bigger local rivals. The manager promptly looked for Cork City's leftovers to impress the fans. Today, Cove Ramblers still aren't impressive and have spent a fortune. And if you have a player and no one will take him and he is off First Division standard, maybe he can join the B team.
That haunted us anyway, didn't it?
Yeah, like, Dan, I'm blaming you, Dan. Like, you heard my objections. Like, I'm blaming you.
Look, what did you make of it, Decky? You were down in Queenstown when you heard the A team go out, and TOTAP's ass was handed to it.
When they played it, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Genuinely, I just stood there, pissed myself laughing. Like, when you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I've always said that. Like, you know, whoever down in Cove came up with the idea and had quick enough thinking to say, all right, if we win this game, let's do this. And the thing was, it blared out. Like, I mean, it was hopping around the ground like off the PA system. And all you could do was stand there and laugh. And I stood there, I laughed. It was just like fair play. And then I met some of the Cove lads afterwards. And it was just a laugh. Nobody is in the slightest bit bothered by what we do, what we say, what we played. And their attitude was just purely up yours now, which is exactly the way it should be. And fair play to them. Also, I should note, they were extremely happy, obviously because they won the game, but there was also plenty of them had backed Cove Ramblers at 6-1 on Friday morning to win the game. So there was money being collected left, right, and centre as well, and bank accounts being filled. So there was a lot of smiley faces and happy people in Cove on Friday night.
Wayne, this is what it should be about. A club having a bit of crack. All it was laugh, and that's what this podcast wants to be, and this is what's supposed to be.
Exactly, and that's what it's about. Like, don't take it seriously. Like, they didn't take it seriously; they just used it, and they, after the off chance they beat us, which they did, they had it ready to go. That's just fantastic. And that's the way every kind of club. I remember last year with who was the draw? The fellow, was it 2 years ago? Like, just use it. It's a bit of fun. Like, and when Decky sent us the message, I was like, oh, geez, here we go. We're getting hammered here. Like, and even how we got hammered on social media for putting the Cork City crest on. Is it Beverly Castle or whatever it's called? That's the way it should be. Do you know?
Absolutely. Well, look.
Oh yeah, Belvelly Castle had the Cove crest up on the castle, so City fans were driving home and driving out heading for, like, all you could see was the Cove crest up in Belvelly Castle, like,
They'll get Mr. T on it now the next time. Right. Well, the result was, of course, Ramblers 2, City 1. Decky, you were our man down there. What did you think of the game?
I thought Cove deserved to win the game. Thought we started well. We started on the front foot. We got ourselves ahead. It was Cahill again, like, lads. It was just Cahill down that side, cutting back in on his left, taking the shot. Keeper saves it. Parry's out to Rory Keaton, who somehow he got right under the ball and it went straight up in the air and it was spinning backwards, and it was very hard to see whether it had gone in or not, because when it hit the ground, you'd imagine it was going to spin backwards, but it eventually crawled in over the line, and everybody laughed and said, Jesus, look how close he came to missing it, but he didn't. So it's grand. We're 1-0 up, and at that point you would have expected us to push on, and like, it was meaty. It was like, I suppose we should have expected it. It was, I don't want to say narky, but there was definitely, like, Cove definitely, I think the Cove players definitely felt like they had a point to prove. There was a few legs left in and a few late ones, and Jesus, Charlie Lyons cleaned Jonas Hakkinen out at one stage, and it was like, oh man, like, and Clancy had a couple of verbals. I think Bargary got stuck in him at one stage, and it was just like, it had that intensity that maybe a final preseason game wouldn't normally have or shouldn't have, but it was good, and it made it a good test. And I guess you'd have to say we failed the test. Second half, like, we were really poor. And from the time Greg Bulger left the pitch, I think it was maybe about the 60-minute mark, we had no shape, we had no substance. It was really, really worrying to see Greg go off and us. Did we fall apart? That's probably a bit too harsh, but we were extremely poor after he went off. All night we created very little all night. I said, goal comes again from just a magic Cahill. Like, the lad is just... If you listen to this podcast and you're a fan from another club in Cedar, just go to watch Cahill. You might not get a chance to see him again. Like, the first round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, you'll get a chance to watch. If you get a chance, buy a ticket, go and see him. Like, he's just a magnificent player, and he was very good again the other night. But Keats and Shawnee and kind of looking and going, maybe you hope it's just a bad night. You want it to just be a bad night, but then you have to give Cove credit. And the amazing thing was, last 20 minutes, it was all Cove. And you think, Premier Division fitness, etc., etc. Lads, last 20 minutes was all Cove. They scored twice. Fully deserved it, especially in the second half showing. And look, we know Cove are going to have a very, very good First Division outfit. Will it be good enough to win the league? Time will tell. I think they'll be right there. It's between themselves and Dundalk. I think Athlone, question marks all of a sudden about Athlone. So I think it's a straight shootout between Cove and Dundalk. They'll be right there. Defensively, they look solid. I think Niall O'Keefe only came off the bench. I would have expected him to start, so we'll have to wait and see. No matter what I say now about up top and Cove, it's going to come across as me having to go off Cian Murphy, and I really don't want to do that. But I spoke to Mike McDermott afterwards, and he referenced Sam Bellis, and he called Sam Bellis a player. And I think like Cian Murphy put himself around, and he was one of the guys who was really, really aggressive. And I thought that was great to see, because in that first division, you need that aggression, you need that ability to knock people around and do that. And I thought from a co-point of view that was a good sign from Cian. Yeah, I'm rambling on now. It was very disappointing from a City point of view, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was very disappointing. I thought there's question marks. And the second goal comes directly from something I spoke about last week. When Cahill goes up the right-hand side and we lose the football, when you're playing with two men in the centre midfield, there's nobody there to drift right and cover Dara Crowley and give him a bit of protection. And that's what happened. That's where the Cove winner came from. We lost the ball, and all of a sudden, they're down that side on top of Dara Crowley. Now, there was claims that Dara was fouled. I think some nights you get them, some nights you don't. I'm not going to bitch and moan here that Dara Crowley was fouled, because I don't necessarily think he was. But they overloaded that side. A quick 1-2. Lovely finish from Bosniak into the bottom corner. They win 2-1. And people in the crowd are saying to me, you actually spoke about that in the pod this week. And I'm kind of going, yeah, to me, it's a real, real obvious area of concern. It's not that it's Dara Crowley right back. It's that Cahill wants to go for. And listen, Cahill isn't slow to cover defensively, but Cahill is going to he's going to be the main provider of opportunities for the front two. So he's going to be on the front foot. And if, as I said, this two-man midfield really, really worries me. Because I said when Greg went off the other night, we just fell apart. Greg is what now? 72? He's not going to be around playing games week in, week out. I can't see how this two-man midfield is going to work for us. And I think I don't think Tim's going back to the drawing board at this stage, so we'll just have to, obviously I'm not going to disagree with Tim Clancy, but you know what I mean? Like, we have different views on how this should work, and I think I have massive concerns about it, and that second Cove goal kind of outlined everything that was concerning me last week.
Wayne, you're looking to come in there.
Yeah, it's undoubted that our key player all pre-season was missing that night. Do you think that had a bearing on it?
You're talking about Dyke, are you?
Of course I'm talking about Dyke, yeah.
No bearing whatsoever. No, none. Hopefully he comes into the season with confidence, because he scored a couple of times in pre-season. I don't know why he was missing the other night. Obviously, Evan McLaughlin's news on him. He's out 6 weeks with a hamstring injury that he picked up against Waterford.
Do you think having two strikers is actually going to be a hindrance to us? As in having Maguire and Keating. Do you think it could be, I know it sounds a bit mad, but having two players that must start every game that are kind of might play out of position?
Yeah.
You do?
No, not
I think I think the same, because you look at other clubs, right? Like last season, there wasn't many strikers around the league that you go, I take him. Like this season, the guy Mipo Odebeko, who came from West Ham, he was in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. The guy who signed for Shells, Liz Mousset, Sheffield United.
Liz Mousset's gone to Bowes, and Mipo's gone to Shells.
Yes.
Mipo's gone to Shells.
But there seems to be a lot. We're saying, we've got the two best strikers in the league. There's a lot of good strikers around at the minute. Wheeler's gone to Bowes too. I know he's injury kind of prone, but I hope we're not putting all our eggs in one basket too. That's just I'm just thinking. There's other clubs with good strikers too that need to prove a point.
Aidan Keane is back at Pats, came back from England. It's not that it's a hindrance. It's just the structure. That's why I talk about the 3-5-2, because I think if you want to play the two of them, I think it's only going to be ourselves and Shells, and this is just looking at the way Shells set up against Drogheda the other night, are the only ones out of 10 teams in the league. I think we're the only two sides who'll be going with this kind of 4-4-2. And as I said, I can't get away from that structure. Worries me, because I think everybody else will have 3 in the centre of midfield and we'll only have 2. And when you're a man down in there, it's going to cause... No, the other thing is when you're on the front foot and we have 2 against their back 4, then it's going to... You know what I mean? It can play to our advantage, but you need to win the midfield battle 90% of the time.
I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking if our backs are against the wall, it won't matter too much because those 2 lads will be holding midfielders anyway. And we're going to try to hit him on the break with Dykesteel, with Cahill, with Shawnee and Keith just standing there with the flick on. That's why I think we're going to play. We're not going to be on the front foot for most games.
Okay, but if you're using a front 4 there of Dykesteel, Cahill, Shawnee and Keats, right?
Yeah.
If you get so deep that Cahill and Dykesteel actually can't affect the game going forward, then you're just going to be under continual pressure anyway. And you're knocking high balls for the front 2 to try and win and tie it up.
That's counter-attack football. That's the speed of the lads. Keating as the focal point, basically, of the knockdowns, or the guy who holds it up while the 3 lads just burst up the pitch.
Yeah, but
Is that
I don't
their
think
tactic?
you can.
I don't know.
I mean, that hasn't been the tactic in pre-season. I think Tim wants to play on the front foot. No, you might get yourself into game situations whereby you just can't play on the front. Do you know what I mean? Shamrock Rovers away week 2 is going to be a really, really interesting to see how we set up. Galway on Friday night, I think Galway will be happy enough to allow us to have the ball for large portions of the game. It's kind of like, we know how John plays. We know how John sets up. I have some stuff from Galway's season last week. I have some stuff from Galway's last season that is a little bit of an eye-opener in terms of how they go about their business. So, look, it's very hard to know. We could pitch up on Friday night and go 3-5-2 or 4-5-1 with Shawnee playing off the left. If Dykesteel is injured, like the new lad from Preston, Keith Pearson, started out there Thursday night or on Friday night. Didn't really have much of an impact, but he's not a left-sided midfielder as such, So does he play Shawnee off the left? Shawnee played off the left his first season at Preston and was quite good out there by all accounts. So maybe there are options. Maybe there are different things you can do. I would definitely see us going to Shamrock Rovers with Shawnee playing from the left and Keaton being alone and that trying to give us that extra body in midfield. But we'll see what happens.
Decky, do you think Dykesteel, and this is what I've just picked up from reading comments and having a gawk on the forum, has he found another level or 2 this season, or do you think that's unfounded? This pre-season, I should say. Look,
he scored goals in pre-season. That's brilliant. That's going to give a player confidence. He scored against he scored against Waterford at the game I was at. He didn't play on Friday night. The problem Malik had, and always had, as far as I can see, and had against Waterford was he scored, but 90% of the time that he had the football, he lost it. He ran up a blind alley, or he got himself tackled, or he lost control, or he did, And my only argument with Malik would be that when we're playing Premier Division football this year, when we have the football, we're going to need to protect it. We're going to need to try and hold on to it for as long as we can. And if we're going to have a guy who's just running up blind alleys and losing possession, it's going to put us under pressure time and time again, And at times he's going to get caught out up the field because he's lost possession up the field and teams will break quickly on us and we'll be a man down on his side and things like that. So again, but look, it's not bad that of course, it's great that he scored goals in pre-season. We don't know why he missed Friday night. Hopefully it's not an injury. We're going to need all the bodies we have. So Tim Clancy likes him. Tim Clancy has a massive amount of time for him. So that's all that matters, really, And I don't want to come across as me continually picking on Malik Dykesteel or criticising Malik Dykesteel. That's not it. It's just, I think he needs to look after the football better if we're going to have a worry-free season.
Okay, back to the Ramblers game. Positives from the game. What can we take from it? Besides Cahill.
I didn't know. Like, I never know what question you're going to ask me. And I'm sitting there going positives.
Minutes in the tank, Deck. Minutes in the tank.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, Dan, there was, like, we lost the game.
Just give me something. Troost, was he all right? Like,
Troost was, he flapped at a couple of balls, but he made a good save. Yeah, he was okay. Kevin Anderson was okay.
Charlie.
Like, Charlie Lyons is going to break strikers' hearts, right? Because he never stops. We saw a bit of it last year, but again, I think like Friday night was an itty bitty game. Like, and there was times where Charlie Lyons just never stopped. Like, there'd be a little coming together, and would be dealt with, and everybody'd be walking away, and Charlie Lyons would decide just to go back for another little piece just before we start again, like, you know. And I think, like, he gave the referee at one stage, like, he was telling the referee what's what, like, you know. So again, that's good for us. We need somebody who's going to be in the referee's face. We need somebody who's going to. Sorry, I started. I let it out. We need
Freddie
somebody
Anderson,
who's
by the
going.
way. Freddie Anderson.
What did I say?
Kevin.
Oh, okay. I'll change up. Kevin Anderson was okay.
Freddie,
he was good, but
Freddie Anderson.
I said Kevin again.
That's not coming out now. That's staying because you're. Yeah.
Freddie Anderson was okay. He was, like, I think he needs to bulk up a small bit. Maybe I think, you know, big, strong centre forwards. But again, he's only 18, and this is what you get with 18-year-olds stepping into the men's game. They need to physically develop as well, you know. So, look, we know Johnny Caulfield is going to have lots waiting for those guys. But just back to Charlie. Charlie was, Charlie was in everybody's face all night long, and that is good for us because he's not going to give referees a minute's peace. Might be bad for he might pick up a couple of bookings for dissent during the season and that, but I'm sure he'll take that if he's somehow managing to influence referees into giving us decisions as the season goes on, you know.
She had something I forgot to ask you last week. Wayne, are you happy that Charlie Lyons is wearing the captain's armband this season?
100%. He's a key player. I always said left side centre half, you need him. I think he's probably one of our key players this season. Might not be the most talented and stuff, but I think he's very key. And he's a bit of bite about him. And I think the lads will learn off him a lot. He has to be big this season. If Charlie Lyons has a bad season, we're in trouble, in my opinion. Like, if he gets injured, if he gets injured and is out for 2 or 3 months, like, we're in serious bad shape then at the back.
Could probably say that about any part of the team if one of those key players goes.
This is why I kind of thought anyway. Jonas Hacken. I know everyone's going, oh, he was off for a year, but he's the kind of player who would come in and he's got good. I just think we're missing something in case something goes wrong. That's how simple I can put it.
Decky, you'd only have to agree with that, surely.
Yeah, I think of the available options, definitely. I'm a big fan of your captain being centre half or playing across the back four. I don't like captains who are strikers. I think the game is happening behind them a lot of the time. I think in any sport, I like my captain as part of my defensive unit because they see much more of the game in front of them and can organise around what's happening in front of them. Yeah, look, Charlie, like everybody, it's a big season for Charlie. He hasn't played Premier Division football before. He was up at Galway for a season, 22 season, wasn't it? He ended up back at Cove. 21 season. Ended up back at Cove. 22. Anyway, he ended up back at Cove. Galway then went and got promoted. You read the Galway forum this week, which I did, stuck my head in there for a look. They're all talking about Charlie Lyons as a Premier Division centre back. So I'm sure Charlie knows what's being said, and I'm sure he will set the record straight on Friday night, hopefully.
Look forward to it. Before we park the Queenstown game here, anything else, Decky, you want to add?
Yeah, actually, I spoke to Mike McDermott for 8 minutes after the game on Friday night, and somehow the interview never saved, and I lost the audio file. So for all the Cove Ramblers fans tuning in to hear from Mike McDermott, I do apologise. But look, he's confident. He knows it's a tough division, but as he pointed out, he has players who've won that division twice previously. Who know what it takes to do so. Did say he would like maybe another 2 or 3 weeks because he was late getting in. So he would have preferred to have maybe another 2 or 3 weeks with the players to get his ideas a bit more implemented and a bit more settled in this team. But it is what it is. They're away to Treaty on Friday night, and guess best of luck to them from everybody in TOTAP Towers.
Any other chats with anyone that night? Anyone important?
No other interviews, no. I was hoping to speak to Cian Coleman and Barry Coffey. I had requested them, but when I was speaking to Mike, they both came out of the dressing room, not deliberately or anything. It was just timing, and I couldn't get to them. And then when I did, they had left the ground or
anyone
whatever,
else?
you know. So
anyone
that was it for the interview. That was it for the interviews, you know.
Oh,
okay.
All right, yeah.
Interesting. It's wrapped up in a neat little package then.
What was in the package, Scott? Sorry?
I'm saying this is all wrapped up in a neat little package.
Yeah, well, you asked me if I had any other interviews. No, and the one I did have, I made
No.
of,
I did not say interview. I said, did you have any chats with anyone?
I do chats. I was talking to lots of people. City supporters.
Yeah.
Cove supporters, some of the City backroom staff I said hello to, shook hands with, wished them well for the season, you know. So, I think, to be fair, I have to say I got a tremendous reception from everybody I met and everybody I did speak to. And, it's fantastic, you know, for the season ahead.
Here, it was just a question, no ulterior motive, just a simple question.
Awesome.
All right, we will park that one there before anyone gets in trouble. That concludes the first half toe tapper, but stay with us, as in the second half, we'll have the Galway preview as well as the mailbag.
Hey, toe tapper. As you know, everything is increasing in price. Extra small clothes, anger management classes, raw liver is the same price as gold. And kids' sweets used to have 20 per pack and now only have 5 in each one. And Jack Doherty is on course to score 100 goals. And he's going to bleed us dry. We need you to help the gang by joining our Patreon for exclusive pods, news and much more. For a $5 a month, you can ensure that Wayne doesn't smash up his laptop, that Dan has really small clothes, Eileen is satisfied, and Declan gets lots and lots of jellies. Head to patreon.com/TOTAP to support the cause.
Welcome back to part 2 toe tapper. It's time for the Galway preview. Decky, John Caulfield, I was going to say welcomed back to Turner's Cross. Maybe not welcomed, but he will be playing in Turner's Cross on Friday. What way do you see this one going?
I think he will be welcome back, and I don't think he'll be playing, Dan. But other than that, everything else you said is probably right.
Does he be playing?
He did say John Caulfield will be playing, you know. But it's fine. Look, we know what you meant. His Galway team will be playing in Turner's Cross on Friday night, you know. I don't know is the honest answer. Like, obviously, we've played 8 pre-season games. We won 6 of them. We lost the first one to Bowes, and we lost the last one to Cove. They bookended 6 other victories, including away at Motherwell. It's hard to argue with that, but I just thought the performance on Friday night in Cove was somewhat worrying, and hopefully it was just a bad performance and they park it and they come out on Friday night in front of a big crowd and show that we are a Premier Division club with a Premier Division squad. Look, we know what Galway are going to do. We know they're going to be well drilled. They're going to be defensively solid. Offensively, they're not going to be brilliant, but they'll get a goal from a corner kick or a set piece, or they'll, make something happen. But I was looking at their away record last year, Dan, and because obviously we were too busy winning a national trophy to be paying much attention to what was going on in the other division, So when when you go back and look, obviously they had 18 away games last year. They won 6, drew 6, and lost 6. 24 points away from home, 28 points at home. So it was all, it's not far off an even split. But the 6 games they lost twice away at Shells, they lost twice away at Pats, they lost once away at Derry, and the other game was away at Sligo in a Connacht derby. So the only away game they lost to a side who didn't finish in the top 3 was Sligo away. One of the Sligo games, which they lost 2-0. They drew the other 1-0. So they had a good record last year away from home against teams that you would say would be around them. They played, as I said, 18 away games. Only 4 of the games saw 3 goals or more. So as I said, we know they're well drilled defensively and they're not a massive threat offensively. Like only 4 of 18 games went over 2.5 goals. And I noticed as well that only one of their first 15 games in total last season went over 2.5 goals. So they'd won in their first 15 games, saw 3 goals or more in it. That's mad. Like that's mental. And like they scored 12 goals away from home last season. They only conceded 16 in 18 games. So they went to the goal a game, less than the goal a game.
You're getting a bit emotional, I'd say, even talking about it. Sounds of it.
Sorry, frog in my throat. They went at just under a goal a game, conceding away from home. So it's a pretty interesting record, because the question comes, if they lose that defensive stability, or if teams figure out how to play them and work out how to play against them, are they suddenly the dark horses for a really poor season? Because we know offensively they haven't really added anything. They've brought in a couple of lads from New Zealand, Australia, and nobody knows what they're like. So I think when you look and you dig into them, the potential is there for Galway to be maybe the surprise packets who struggle if that defensive solidity leaves them for the season,
Wayne, what are you expecting from this United side?
I don't know, because you look at half their squad and you're looking at Conor McCormack, Drake Keohane and Gary Buckley, and you're kind of going, there's nothing really to be scared of there. But then you look at the new lads from Australia and New Zealand, like Daniel Steins and Moses Dyer. Dyer is a New Zealand international, played Asian Champions League. Daniel Steins as well. He was a Perth Glory. He's played 60, 70 games. He's a worry, I think. So their attacking threats got a lot bigger. But they've got a slow kind of, between Buckley and McCormack, Keohane, they're there for the taking. They are, like. These lads were decent 10 years ago. So half the new players are unknown quantity, but the current players, I don't know. I don't fear them as much as Declan does. I know they're going to sit back and probably frustrate us, but we do have players who can pull some magic out of the bag. Like, I think we're going to beat them.
Decky,
I think 2 or 3-0. I honestly, I know Declan's saying I'm mad, but I think we're going to
win. Not a
I know. I think if we go, I think there's been so much negativity off the pitch, so much many people not confident, myself included. I think we're going to go and I think we're going to beat them and beat them well. I really do.
Can I just say, Dan, I don't fear them. It's actually one thing I don't. I'm just pointing out that last season they had this defensive stability and solidity that allowed them to pick up points away from home. As I said, if that's not there this season, I think they might find themselves in some trouble long term. If you look at their games last year, only 3 games last year did they score twice away from home. That was the 2 Dundalk games, which they won both those games 2-0. And they won in Drogheda 3-2 in the middle of the season. So the only 2 teams they scored twice against away from home last season was the bottom 2. So there already you can say, well, if you're at home to Galway and you can score twice, the chances are you're going to win the game. So then the question becomes, can you score twice?
With Maguire, Keats, do you think we have that opportunity?
Of course we do. Of course we do. Absolutely. as somebody said last week, was it Declan Carey? They won't have experienced their full backs, their right side, or sorry, their left side won't have experienced the playing against somebody like Cahill before. They might think they're ready. They might have watched all the videos. They might be prepared for what's coming. It's different when you're on the pitch. It's different when Cahill stands you up and he whips past you and he pulls in on his left and tries to put one past Brendan Clark from 30 yards, you know. So, look, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see us win. I wouldn't be surprised to see us lose. So, you know.
There's a big difference between playing in Coleman's Park on that pitch against 9 lads who just want to kick the shit out of you and they want to prove a point, and Shawnee going past 2 or 3 players and dinking the keeper. Like, he's got it. Like you saw in the preseason games, like it's just so easy for him. If Keating has a top game, Kyle coming in, I think we can prove a point here. I really do. Now that's me being over exaggerating, I suppose, over excited about it. But I think we'll win easy.
But here's the thing: it's opening night. You're supposed to be overexcited. You're supposed to be looking ahead with anticipation, and everything is supposed to be the best case scenario. If Galway fall off defensively a little bit, if their new guys aren't up to much, of course we can exploit it. Of course we can win the game. Even if their new guys are brilliant, of course we can still win the game. You know, we have firepower. We have goals in our side. We've seen that, you know. And it's probably one of the better home games because you're fairly sure they're like, God help me now for saying this, you know. We know how these goes, right? They're not a side who's going to come down here and score 3 times, you know. They don't have it in their makeup, you know.
Oh,
they don't have it in their makeup. So, oh Christ!
Well done. We all know how this one's ending anyway. Who's your man who wouldn't hit the barn door with the banana? And then he gets 2 against us. Was he Sligo?
That was Drogheda. What's his name?
Sure, it could be anybody.
That was one of the brothers, the 3 brothers, the useless one. What's his name?
Ryan Brennan.
Brennan, yeah, he scored against us. Remember after you saying you couldn't hit that barn door?
No, Brennan. Ryan Brennan was the Shells one with the.
Yeah.
That was 2 or 3
was the
years
other
ago.
Brennan, or maybe we mocked all the Brennans. I don't know.
Killian
was the
one. You'd never get through mocking them all anyway. There's so many of them there, for fuck's sake.
Where Brennan was the one who kicked Dyke Steele, wasn't it? Or he tried to get him sent off. Wasn't that it?
No, that was it was Gary. No, it was Gary Deegan took out the lad with the concrete boots. He used to play with the concrete boots.
Stanley Vicious.
Yeah, Stanley Vicious. So
look at Stanley Vicious with the shot.
Yeah. Gary Deegan took him out, and then Luke Heaney ran the length of the pitch to get Malik sent off. And now for that, Luke Heaney's at Dundalk. Fucking well suited, the 2 of them anyway. If ever there was a match made in heaven, Heaney and Dundalk, huh? So yeah. Anyway, yeah. That I don't know how we ended up in Dundalk from Galway anyway, but yeah, confident. I think we beat them 2-1. I'm going
3-0 there, Dan. What do you think, Dan?
2-2.
No shots on target from Galway.
I don't think Galway conceded 3 goals in an away game all the last season. I'm pretty sure they did.
Well, we can safely say Galway are winning this 3-0 now because of Decky's hoodoo. Excitement-wise, look, we've talked about what's going to happen on the pitch. Like, Wayne, how excited actually are you to get back to the Cross? Hopefully decent crowd in there.
Do you know we miss beating? Do you hear me? Oh my God, we miss playing these teams like even Drogheda annoy me. Sligo, they're all right, but they're kind of like past their pointless football club, really. I'm just looking forward to beating bigger teams than what we're playing. You know, and a bit of kind of like heartache walking out of the pitch, and like I remember leaving last year winning a game going, that was still shite. Like you could lose a game here 4-3 and be like, that was amazing, you know. But I do think it's very important that if we can't beat Galway, that we put on a good performance, because if we don't and lose to Shamrock, we're in serious trouble then. Like, I don't mean in serious trouble. I mean crowd-wise, people, the buzz, the crack, and it can turn toxic. So you know what Cork people are like. It's turned toxic in the pre-season, for Christ's sake. Imagine what it'd be like if we're near the bottom of the table after 5 games. I just hope to God we start winning games and the club are united against the rest of them, because that's what we need. A bit of Cork mentality, a bit of what Rico used to do and Dolan used to do, and when Lennox was in charge and stuff. Just up and at them, get into them, and
How many do you think is going to be in the class?
I've no doubt it's 5,000 minimum. If we have less than that, I think 5,000. I think we will, and it will. Even if we win our first 2 games, it'll still say, but it'll drop. It always drops. I think 4,000 should be the average we get. I think the ticket price could be an issue if we're not playing nice football, if we're not winning. I think 5-2. I'm going to say on Friday night.
Decky, care to hazard a guess of the attendance?
I thought when he said 5-2, he was doing another score prediction. I'm going to say 4,500. I think the reaction online and whatnot. I think we will see a fall off in what. 2 years ago, last time we had 6,300 that night against Bows, wasn't it, opening night? Don't think we're getting to that, but we should be. And we should be probably getting more. Opening night, it's a brilliant night, Dan. It's fantastic. You bump into people, you see people that you haven't seen since last November. If you stand back and just give yourself a couple of minutes and look and watch, and there's kids with their dads and their granddads, and there's 3 generations, sometimes even 4 generations, walking up to a game, and it's a special time, it's a special night. And I just hope people can set aside their concerns about ticket prices, etc., and just set it all aside and just get the family, get the buddies, whatever
They will though.
And go and do it,
We should see ramping up of the buzz this week, because it's been a very quiet build-up so far. So I'm guessing now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll see all the social media going. You might see a billboard going up. It's been a bit quiet. People at work asking when our city's starting. They don't know, and that's a bit concerning.
Well, that starts with the lads out even flyering and things like that as well. Subtly driving on.
You'd know more. You'd feel the non-city fan knowing it's starting. How are you going to get on the season, kind of stuff. I think Valentine's night could be a little bit of an issue. I don't know. Is it an issue? I don't know.
I think it will be.
The young lads, like yourself, I
got the day off work and she's getting dragged down. So look,
perfect. But you don't know. People's there has to be 5,000 there. Has to be. I think there will be. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think we've fallen off that much off the radar.
Hopefully.
Can I just say, with it being Valentine's night, surely somewhere we're going to see a marriage proposal at half time on the pitch or something along those lines. Dan.
Day off work.
Oh yeah, okay, right. Well, Dan wouldn't be allowed on the pitch, marriage proposal or not. That's just not that ain't happening. But as I said, being Valentine's night is one of these things I could see somewhere in the League of Ireland, some League of Ireland ground on Friday night where there's only 3 games. So one of the 3 games, I guarantee, will have a marriage proposal on the pitch at halftime.
Ask Paddy Power.
Okay, say Paddy Power gave us 100 to 1, right? Would you propose so we could swindle the cash
100 to 1? They wouldn't.
So, just hypothetically, Dan, would you propose to your missus if we could get Paddy Power to offer us even 50 to 1?
If she was caught in on it, I'd say she'd be happy enough to go with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Will we send a tweet and ask?
So what we know is Dan will propose for money.
Effectively. I used to know 2 lads in college who got married just because they would get money off the government with whatever grants they were getting.
If we could crowdfund you to propose, right? How much would it cost?
Pay for the wedding anyway. A good decent wedding. How much is that?
Oh, you go through it I'm not saying propose. I'm not saying get.
Well, if you crowdfund, if the wedding's paid for, what's that?
Registry office?
30K? Lads, will you stop? The
30K? What are you
That's what a decent wedding will cost, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but how many? You're not going to invite 150 people, are you?
Oh, she's a big family. Hear this relationship stuff now, they'll be all raging on the forum, so look.
Leave them off, they're still listening.
We'll park it there, and I think we'll drive it on into the mailbags and finally see what the TOTAPers have to say.
Congratulations, Dan, anyway. I guess that's the most important thing to say, like, you know.
Oh, there'll be people coming up to me now on Friday with her there.
That's the front cover of the pod this week.
Without doubt, there will be people asking Dan about his engagement, but sure, look.
Почтальон Пэт. Почтальон, почтальон, почтальон и черно-белый кот. Только день начнется, Пэт с утра проснется, горожанам письма повезет.
Actually, Dan, just before you start, this is probably a better one for the proposal, like, isn't it? Do it on air now, and we put it out. We cut it and record it, we put it out on Friday night. Go on, do voice over this now, go on. Go on, Dad. You know, I can see your eyes, you want
Nicole, will you marry me? There'll be no fear she'll listen to this anyway, so look. Jesus Christ.
We just cut that now, Dan. You should never have done that anyway. Dan, you made a massive mistake there, though. Massive mistake.
Right. Colm Nolan says, how does Scotty CCFC manage to attend every Rovers game and be on the second biggest club in Cork's pod every week?
Don't mind his bollocks, right? Don't mind his bollocks.
Wait, what do you mean? You go, sure, you and him go way back, isn't it?
Oh, we go back 25 years, like, yeah. He's a Scumrock Rovers fan.
He was the one who told me you were a bit of a playboy.
Look, there's no proof
Play
of that.
the love music again. What? Colm Nolan also says, will the cross get safe standing, and have you sorted the toilet situation yet?
Why do we need safe standing? It's a fully seated stadium. I don't understand the question. Like,
So,
I know.
the point there is that, like, we're not supposed to be standing in the shed, right? The club complain about stuff being broken. Safe standing is basically the same what we have, but there's crash barriers in front of every seat. So you can stand or you can sit. Like, it's probably costing money, but it's a good idea because it means you can go terracing, but also convert it for Europe.
Right. And why are we answering questions? Like, this is Scotty now wanted to rub Shamrock Rovers' belly again and tuck him in at
was
night.
it me rubbing her belly?
Give him water bottles and hot water bottles and tuck him in at night.
Sure,
like,
look.
you know, it's like. But look, people who write in, we answer all questions. That is true. You know, so
We're going to block him from now on, I think, because
Colm Nolan also sent in a link to the asshole song. I think he tagged you as well, Scott. So there you go.
Nice.
Duncan Noonan says, what's everyone's ideal starting 11s for Galway, including formations? Decky, I'll go to you here first.
I have nailed my mast to the 352. I've nailed my colours to the 352 mast, I should say. So then it would be Team Troon, Anderson, Charlie Lyons, and Milan Mbappe.
Mbappe.
I said Mbappe.
Mbang.
Sorry. I just had a mental block and I tried to bullshit my way through it.
Kevin Anderson, Kylian Mbappe.
Joe Clancy, the manager. So look, sorry, no, completely. 3-5-2. Murray, Greg, Murray, Shipson as the 3. Cahill then would have to play kind of as a right wing back, which wouldn't be ideal, but you'd have Shipson leaking right to cover him, Benny Couto on the left, and the 2 lads up top.
Win.
I'm doing the same, right? But instead of putting Cahill on the right, I'm putting...
no 4-4-2.
No, is what I want.
Is that gone out the window now?
No. This is what I want is 4-4-2. What I think will happen will be 3-5-2.
Oh, okay. You actually... but I thought we were setting up in pre-season for 4-4-2.
Yeah, he's going to play 4-4-2, Scotty. I mean...
Okay, well then, what I want and what I think will happen is 4-4-2, get the ball in the box. But he won't get the ball in the box either because he's playing this tappy shit. So there's none of this getting the ball in the box stuff. All right? So... Listen, let's be clear for now. This is not traditional 4-4-2. This is 4-4-2 bastardized Pep Guardiola. All right.
Right, but who are you putting in the team? Who's your 4 at the back?
It's got to be Lyons and Mbang. I'd put there because Mbang is a ball playing centre back, which is the way he wants to play. Right back is going to be Crowley. Left back is going to be Couto, and I've got Dykesteal, Cahill, Keating, Maguire, and in the middle I'm going to have Bolger and Shipston.
Fair enough. I might put in.
That's going to be. I think that's going to be. Anyway. I don't think
Murray for Dykesteal, but that'll be the only thing. Yeah, it depends if Dykesteal.
Murray can't play on the wing. He's not fast.
He can't play on the left. Like.
Unless you're playing like a Couto is like a wing back possibly, and he's just darting. You need serious stamina for that. Like.
So is that our expected team, Decky? Would you agree that that's probably going to be expected the team when called out?
Yeah, I think that's the team. If Dykesteal is fit, I think that will be the team. You'd imagine what started in Cove was as close as possible, as we said already, to what his starting team would be the other on Friday night. So yeah, I would expect that to be the starting 11.
Believe in Tim. He knows what he's doing anyway, right? So, and I think if we do get walked off the park on Friday, he'll change it. He won't just stick to a 4-4-2 and we're like 1-0 down and he will change it. He'll just take someone off and put whoever's off, Murray, Shipston or Bolger, whoever doesn't start, he'll bring them on.
I think, from the fan base, to be fair, everyone does believe in Tim, and I do think everyone backs him, hopefully.
Is him playing left or right-footed, Decky, do you know?
He's right-footed. Right-footed, I think, wouldn't he?
He played left-sided centre-back against Bow, so I'm wondering, if he's left-footed, he won't play Charlie and him the same game?
Trying to remember now the Waterford game. Oh no, he played on the left in the Waterford game, and Harry Nevin played on the right. But I didn't take any notice if he was kicking with his left or his right foot. So, could be kicking with his left foot as well, like, I don't know.
Ed Long writes in, would a diet of skirts and kidneys give us the X factor over our opponents?
I saw this question.
I don't get it.
Yeah, skirts and kidneys.
Does it mean dancers?
I presume kidney beans.
But like,
is it?
You can get a kidney, like, you know, kidneys are quite nice. I haven't had one in 20 years, but my father used to get them and cook them. And he used to make kidney sandwiches, if anybody can believe that. But anyway, but I never minded a bit of kidney, to be honest with you. But I don't.
Are you cannibal or something?
Skirts and kidneys. I don't know what that means. Am I a cannibal?
You're eating kidneys, like.
Well, I might have to hand in the Cork passport, but have you ever had that tripe and drisheen?
Tripe and drisheen?
No. Never had that.
No.
I don't think you ever will be either. Decky definitely has.
No, of course you
I haven't actually, no.
I'd say you're a bacon and cabbage man, Decky, are you?
No, hate cabbage.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you potato and meat and three veg kind of thing?
Okay, here I have it, lads. Skirts and kidneys is an Irish stew made from pork and pork kidneys.
Okay.
There you go, no? So,
do you know what? Actually, Eric Barry put on a tweet there of basic food in some English ground. It was chips and mushy peas, right? But the chips were so nicely cooked. They were crisp perfection. A nice mushy peas. If they just had the food they have and just made it slightly nicer, people pay for it.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to get slaughtered now because there's half the Paddison know exactly what skirts and kidneys are, and they'll be going, how do you live in Cork for 40 years and not know what skirts and kidneys are? But I never heard of it.
No.
Kidney and
look, we have Spuds Buds, the fine dining establishment.
And lads, in Spuds Buds, can you please learn how to spell potato? Thanks.
Garrett Flip Floppy Jocks Barry says, is Chairman Carey the Simon Jordan of TOTAP? And is it worrying that the B team beat the A team Friday night? Decky.
It is worrying, yeah, definitely worrying. Is Declan Carey? I think the care man thing is going to stick, Dan. Your slip of the tongue the other day seems to have been picked up on by a lot of people. So hopefully Deck will be back next week and we can explore opportunities around the whole care man thing and see where that takes us. But is he the new Simon Jordan? Is he the Simon Jordan at TOTAP? I don't think so, because I haven't heard much of Simon Jordan, but anytime I have, it just seems like he's talking absolute shite.
No, I like Simon Jordan, but he'll never admit being wrong, and I think Declan's a nice guy. Simon Jordan, I think he's very good to listen to. Hopefully, the care man turns into
the flair man.
The flair man, yeah.
Ian Crowley says, do we have the legs, in brackets, depth, to make it through this season? We'll start with that one, because he asked two questions. When?
Do you know what? I was watching, what's that show? Just with Beckham and Giggs and Scholes, the own Salford City. What's it called? Class 92. And the last season, they were saying about getting a new squad, and they need 17 first-team players. And they need another probably 6 youth players. And I was thinking that's very short, but they made a good point that if those 17 players are players you could literally put in and put out of the squad without weakening it, that's all you need. And you can have 6 more then. And they play 42 games a season. I think we are light because we don't have like for like to come in and come out. But I think we're going to be okay because we have a lot of players who can play different positions. I think, except for the 3 midfield lads who are kind of stuck in that position, that's the only worry. As you said, if Decky can't start, who goes there? The new lad, maybe. They're probably going to stick Maguire out there. That's the worry.
I think that's a spot that Alex Nolan could play in as well. And I'd have a feeling over the season Alex Nolan would be first choice ahead of Alec Dykstil.
Okay.
But we'll have to see. But Alec Nolan only got his first kind of 15 minutes of pre-season in Cove on Friday night. So I don't know whether he would be considered fit enough to start against Galway next week or not.
Is Galway satisfied with the current offering of gear? And is there more on the horizon?
Very disappointed with the hoodie not showing. They had this. They teased us with it a few months ago, and it looked really nice, and it never showed. But then again, we got a leak of a hat. Remember the fisherman hat that hasn't been seen either. So I'd imagine they're just rolling out new stuff all the time. I have to go out there and check stuff. I really do. This half and half scarves is a bit bizarre though. The Cork City Palestine, Cork City Brazil, Cork City. Where are the other ones? Colombia. I don't know.
Oh, there's one in the club shop. I think someone mentioned something that in the group. Yeah. Is it like okay? But surely with the Palestine ones, there's money being sent over.
I didn't want. I shouldn't have brought this up at all. Like, I kind of feel bad bringing this up because there's no doubt that that's not happening. In my opinion, I could be wrong, and I'm a bit kind of awkward about making money off. Do you know what? I don't want to talk about that. Actually, move that on. That's yeah. Decky can talk about it. He's probably more. I'm in good form today. Don't ruin it.
All right.
We will talk. No, we won't. Leave it. Like next week, if I go over and have a look, I'll judge myself.
All right. Connor K says, reveal your fantasy LOI teams. This looks absolutely brilliant this season. It's the same guy who did it before, but like it just looks so much more user friendly. Well, it is so much more user friendly. But yeah, it's only great for League win. Have you started your team yet? I have.
But I'm not telling you because I'm going to win it.
You're on your hole, boy.
I am. There's a TOTAP league out there as well. I'll retweet it again tonight, Wednesday night when it's released. Of course, I'm going to. There's some serious strike force in the league at the minute. I'm telling you now. If they're halfway fit, I'm going to the moon, lads. I'm like a party. I'm the Soviet dog going to the moon. That's what I am.
Who'd you have in there? Go on.
You'll know after week. You'll know next week. You'll know who's in my team. I'm not.
Can we go on and check now? I could probably go up and check right now.
I don't think actually, what's really annoying, you can't use. It doesn't show your team name.
Yeah, just your own name.
That's pointless. Why not have?
Sure. What the shorts on the wall have? He was going to call his Keating Up with the Kardashians.
That's really good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd imagine the problem is because it's an FAI sanctioned game one. Some of those team names could be right borderline or well over the line. Like, and I guess the FAI can't have stand behind that. Then I'm
can everyone send us in their team names, please, and we'll retweet them all.
I was going to say prize to the best one. There won't be a prize to the best one, but just be funny. Decky, do you have your team sorted?
I haven't even looked at it yet, to be honest.
Come on, Decky.
I'm not a big fan of this fantasy football stuff. I lose
can
interest.
People send in
after
their what's the word I'm looking for? What's it called? Can someone help me here? When you lose a competition, forfeit. That's it. Can people send in their forfeit for us? Whoever finishes last. This is between all 11 of us now, okay? Even though Damien Shreenan still hasn't done his mullet haircut from the last time.
I was just going to say, I'm sure like forfeits mean nothing. Like when the first fella just walks away.
That's true.
Scot-free, like. But no, I haven't done anything yet. But I guess I will before Friday night.
All right, we got a DM. Kind of an interesting one. Don't know how true it is, but it says Cork City open. It's an article. Cork City open to selling Turner's Cross naming rights. The cost would be €150,000 plus VAT per year. But surely that's not up to Cork City.
Is that figure real or is it just made up?
It's on WordPress. LOI Talk, it says at the top.
Oh.
But yeah, it was sent in by DM.
There was stuff being done back for the last 2 years with the MFA around naming rights for the cross and that. 150 grand a year, probably in the ballpark, I'd imagine. I don't know. I'm just taking this at face value. I haven't even seen the message come in. So. Yeah, is somebody going to pay 150 grand for the naming rights in Turner's Cross? I genuinely don't know.
TOTAP Turner's Cross. We'll start the GoFundMe now. Someone, and again by DM, says, what are Decky's initial opinions on each of the new signings after watching each of them play down in Cove?
Can we email the MFA asking how much it would cost and if we could possibly have some sort of naming rights of somewhere in the ground, like even the toilets or something? Like
the TOTAP
it's actually
toilets.
A really good idea, like the TOTAP
toilets. Yeah. They're just full of shit. Woohoo!
Hey!
Yeah, that's not fair on me, but I'm sure who cares about that? I'll go anyway. Anderson, I thought looked okay. As I said, I think he needs to maybe try and beef up, but he's only 18, and we'll have to see. Kuto, I think, is a good player. Team Troost. Floppy, flippy, flopping, flapping. I think he needs to be a little bit more assured. Hopefully that will come. And Shipson, I thought, had a good first half, was taken off early second half. Just said, I think he's going to be on first name terms with a couple of referees. I'm not sure he has a huge amount of creativity. I could be wrong in that. I'm just going on what I saw. I think he's more that defensive midfielder mold. Not sure he really works in a 2. I think he might be much better in a 3, but I'm becoming obsessed with the 3 in midfield now. I understand that, so I have to get away from that. Who else did we see? Shawnee and Keats. Yeah, they were here from last, so they're not part of it. Or the lad Kit Pearson, who played out left. I genuinely...
Nelson, isn't it?
Huh?
We have Kevin Anderson, Kit Pearson. It's Nelson. Who else do we have?
How was this how was this happened? Because anyway, Kit, I actually would give him a pass. That was his first game. He's only in the country a few days. I wouldn't read too much into it. Also, he's not a left-sided player, so he didn't really have much of an impact in the game. But as I said, I wouldn't hold that against him at all. I would imagine he's a central midfield player. He's clearly not a right back. Because I'd imagine if we brought him in at right back, we would have started him there instead of starting him wide left. So, look.
Wayne, is Love Island on tonight?
Here. What time is it? Jesus Christ.
But come here, I was asked the question. I'm answering it, and you're just going, oh, come on. Oh, he's taking too long. I mean, Jesus Christ, make up your minds what you want,
All right, we go to our Instagram questions. Declan Carey says, are Cork City, the answer that, are Cork City the biggest club in the country?
Yes.
Wayne, care to respond?
I'm not getting into this again. I'm not getting into it. Ask me again in 6 months when we're top of the league and we have 6,000 people come through the gates and our stadium is the high end.
The TOTAP Turner's Cross.
First thing I'm doing Friday is checking the toilets. I'm telling you now, if there's not nice bog roll there, if I have to use a wipe to flush the toilet, this shit's hitting the fan next week, lads.
How many ply of toilet roll do you want in the grass?
It depends on the kind of shit you have, really, because sometimes if you have the too heavy one, it just doesn't get in the area. So sometimes the Aldi one is quite good. And as long as not the one where,
the 3-ply I think is a good one.
The dispensing is the important. Is the trick. If it's the one where you pull from the middle, when you pull, you get 3 sheets at a time. That's a nightmare. But it's the cleanest way of doing it. It's the roll part you want to you need at least 3 rolls around the hand, But I'm telling you now, if the Jacks are in a disgrace, you have a week's notice now. I'm going to go to town for. This could be the longest podcast ever next week. It's the toilets. There's 5,000 people going to the cross. Probably 1,000 for the first time. We're charging 25 quid to get in. Make sure the Jacks is in good nick. Please, for Christ's sake.
I thought it was a joke at the start. Now I realise it's not. LOI Design says, no depth on the bench could be a big worry. To be fair, we talked about that one. Jim White says 2025 preseason Matthew Murray or 13-14 Adam Lallana. Who are you taking?
What? Oh, 2013-14, all right. How's it go?
Matthew Murray, every time. Good player, lads. Good player.
Win.
Yeah, Murray.
Daddy Cool says, should City tie Mick Ring down before Rams come after him too? Players, coaches, and now physio.
Yeah, it's tie Mick Ring down. I don't think there's any chance of Mick going anywhere anyway. If there's one man in the county that bleeds Cork City, it's Mick Ring, you know, and all the Ring family, to be fair, like, you know, and I think
looking forward to some decent biscuits this year again.
Mick's a gem, an absolute gem, as is his sister and his mammy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All the Rings are gems.
Connor84 says, I want to go home. Queenstown's a shithole. I want to go home. Jan's Jersey says, what you think of the price for home matches? €25 is ridiculous. I think we've already covered that now.
I'm glad somebody brought this up because we haven't had an opportunity to talk about it before.
Dan, is there any chance you could get a mic outside the ground and ask people this question? And actually generally ask, and not take the piss or not kind of sway their minds, but actually ask, what do you think of the pricing? And not to have a go at the club, but to actually find out 100% once and for all what people think.
Maybe we could. At half time, I don't want to be sitting around after, like, but maybe half time.
No, before the game.
Before the game. You couldn't, outside the ground.
I'll bring the mic because I'm coming from work, so I'll have the bag, so I can just put the mic into the bag, like, Friday morning, bring it on with me. Interesting, never thought of that, but yeah, there's a survey on the mic.
You got 20 people, like randomers,
and we're
ages,
outside,
genders.
And we're outside on our favourite footpath, so nobody can say
we should get a green screen, right? And we could superimpose how the 1980s. We could Photoshop Turner's Cross in the background of it, and it looks like we're in the stadium, and they'll all lose their shit over it.
Kieran Murphy says, Decky's lovely jacket at Cove.
I saw it, and I wasn't even there, so how did I see it?
As there was a rat sending photos.
Who was in the photo, Declan?
I was. What about my jacket anyway?
Who are you in the photo with? You said Decky's lovely jacket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a nice jacket, lads.
Tweet in who was in the photo, thanks.
Well, this was a deck pick. Those deck picks are back for 2025. Dar Will says, thoughts on Truce weakness coming for a high ball.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, he was flipping and flapping like at balls again on Friday night, and we know Galway. Look, of all the teams in the division, like Galway are going to be the ones who ping high balls in on top of him every chance they get. Like, and he's going to have to stand up and be counted on Friday night. It's going to be a big test for him. But you know what? It's one, if he comes through it, will absolutely fill him with confidence. You know, is there a fear that if he doesn't, it breaks him? Hopefully not.
He also asks, do you see many/any additions to the squad over the next few weeks?
No.
I'd imagine we're done.
We're done.
So we're done.
I think the last one here, Scott Clinton says, who replaced Richie Holland?
Is that a loaded question? Nobody.
Yeah, so there you go. That concludes the questions. Super Bowl on tonight, lads. Decky, I know you're a bit of American football fan.
Yeah. Took tomorrow off.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Who do you think's winning?
It's close. Genuinely, like, it's hard to call. I think the Eagles might just pip them. I think Philadelphia might just pip them. Their run game is superior, and they have the ability to go through the air with AJ Brown and Smith, and even the tight ends. So yeah, I think Philadelphia might have a tiny edge on them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great as well. I mean, the NFL coming to Croke Park, we've seen it's really international. I know you follow the American one. Do you follow any other?
I love the Canadian football, yeah, because and it's weird because I think Canadian football was there first, and the American version then has taken over, and it's kind of similar. Obviously, the populations and the economies of scale are different, but basically CFL, which is Canadian football, is like the League of Ireland, and the NFL is like the Premier League in England. And everybody in Canada, lots of people in Canada are watching the NFL. But the CFL, like if you come home from Turner's Cross, it's often midnight when I'm getting home, and it could be a CFL game starting at 12:30, and you just sit down and you'd watch it, just kind of unwind. But it's free streaming. You can just go into the CFL website, you don't even have to put in your own email address because they don't send you a verification email. You can just make up an email address, leave it in, and then you can stream every game for the season live on their website. So put it on the telly, pull up their website, ping on the game, and you get the full Canadian TV broadcast on the CFL international website. It's fantastic. I've often thought it's kind of maybe a little bit how LOI TV should have been set up, or the same kind of thought processes. But I'm a big fan of Canadian football league as well.
What team do you support?
Oh, a big fan of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
The what?
Saskatchewan Roughriders. Lads, come on! It's as far as I'm aware, it's to do with horses and side saddling horses and this kind of thing, So yeah,
would the Roughriders be young?
Dan, come on, Dan. No, I think all the Canadian clubs majority of them are 100 years plus around anyway.
Who do you think is going to win, Dan?
I don't care.
I think
Chiefs.
I don't. I think he said that the Eagles are going to Pippin the Chiefs, but I think they'll go for a 3-peat and they're going to win it.
3-peat. That's taken over here, and that's the word that's taken over. Anyway, lads.
What do you think?
It is time for Love Island. I said Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
Even though I haven't watched any games this season, I'd say. But anyway, that concludes the Other Three Amigos podcast. Thanks a million for listening. Follow us or check us out over on Patreon, patreon.com/the Other Three Amigos. /TOTAP rather. Getting myself all flustered. Lads, there's only one thing left to say, and after however many minutes, it's adios.
Go Roughriders.
Adios.
Adios.